On today's podcast, we'll be covering moving forward, so stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. You can find the show notes to each episode, links to information mentioned on the podcast, the social media platforms we're on, and anything else related to the podcast at warehousesafetytips.com. Now, if you're a seasoned podcast listener, this podcast is going to be different from most you listen to. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money and each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the podcast. In some of the previous podcasts, you've heard us mention a statement and or thought process that, in our humble opinion, is toxic to a Kaizen environment. Now, before covering that statement, we should probably define what Kaizen is as well, just in case you're unaware of it. The word Kaizen comes from the words Kai, which means change, and Zen, which means to make good or better. Now, if you put them together, you have the principle of constant improvement and or change for the better. The toxic statement to Kaizen environment is, that's the way we've always done it. Now, just for the record, that statement can also carry positive results. If your facility has a policy that the customer is always right, no matter what, that's not necessarily a bad thing to discontinue. Where that statement becomes toxic is when it halts improvement and or moving forward. Now, before the COVID pandemic, online meetings, cancellations of in-person sales call or event, touchless deliveries, strictly enforced use of PPE, and overall social distancing or health would probably never have been implemented. Some of those practices aren't necessarily what you want to have, but others have shown us that costs can greatly be eliminated and ways of doing things can be much safer. But none of them would have been uncovered had we lived a "that's what we've always done" system before. Sometimes change involves moving forward and taking steps backward at the same time. Avoiding staying in one place and making Kaizen your thought process will always be better than saying, "that's the way we've always done it." Before moving on, here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and or safety products. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode and access to all of our blog posts, previous podcasts, advertiser information, and much more. Thank you for listening to Warehouse Safety Tips and have a safe day.